a large segment of our population raises their children. So we have to start thinking about going out to the population and engaging them where they are and what they're doing, and getting them involved in what happens from that level. And perhaps when we go to the round table, we take that new paradigm of thinking to the table with us, so that we can engage the people how they need to be engaged, so that they will come to the table and help us with the early childhood efforts.
Mr. McCabe?
In that regard, and this is kind of stream of consciousness that I had a while back, trying to figure out why the first grade performance level deteriorated in the third grade. And I thought about the early days of boot camps in Florida, where the child or the youth's performance in boot camp, they were polite, they seemed reformed, but as soon as they got back to the environment they came from, they regressed to their old way. And I'm wondering, once you take the child out of the protective daycare environment and they're left only with school and the home, if they don't go back to their old ways, which caused me to wonder whether or not, and we're providing essentially free daycare to people. Early Learning Coalition is doing the same thing. Do parents have skin in that game in return for that at all? Is there any requirement that parents understand what's expected of them once the child gets back into the home environment and that sort of thing?
I would suggest to you, Mr. McCabe, that it is not at the level and to the extent that we would deem appropriate or necessary. And I think we can do a better job about that. But it's not going to be necessarily with our resources. We do have wraparound services that we offer to our families, but it's not what you're talking about.
No, to my way of thinking, a family is getting a tremendous benefit from these resources. And there ought to be some skin in the game on their part, not financially, but education-wise, as to what they need to do to keep the benefits of what we in the Early Learning Coalition are providing to them and their children. Does that make sense?
It does to me. And what I would say to you is that that may be a conversation that this board would like to engage in with the Early Learning Coalition board, because the bulk of the dollars for subsidized childcare come through the Early Learning Coalition, and I'm not aware of any parental engagement requirement that goes with those dollars.
Well, and even if they don't want to participate, we have a good subset that we're funding that we could use as a experiment or whatever you want to call it to see if that makes a difference.
And that was an element of the RFP requirement.
What is that requirement? What will the parent have to do?
With respect to the RFP, it was left fairly open-ended for the providers to speak to that. But I think we have the opportunity to be more prescriptive if we get into direct design and purchase service, because that's where you get control, is with the checkbook. And I think absolutely with our HIPPY programming, we've seen great results from HIPPY programming, where we go into the homes, work on family literacy for very